Welcome back to another episode of Time Capsule Tales, the podcast that delves into fascinating historical stories. In this episode, we'll uncover the remarkable life of Harriet Jacobs in celebration of the Juneteenth holiday. Get ready to step into the past and discover some of the historical context surrounding this holiday. Close your eyes and transport yourself to a moonlit night in the 1800s, deep within the heart of the American South. Imagine you are standing in a quiet corner of a small, unassuming plantation, where the weight of history hangs heavy in the air. In this moment, you are no longer yourself. You are Harriet Jacobs, a courageous young woman on the verge of a life-altering decision. Feel your pulse quicken within you as you ascend a hidden staircase that leads to an attic. The wooden steps creak beneath your weight, and each creak reverberates through your bones, carrying the weight of countless whispered dreams. You push open the attic door, your heart pounding in your chest, and step into a confined space that becomes both your refuge and your prison for the next 7 years. Welcome to today's episode, where we invite you to step into the world of Harriet Jacobs, to imagine the unimaginable, and to discover the transformative power of one woman's quest for freedom. Open your heart and your mind as we paint a vivid portrait of an unsung hero, and together let us celebrate the legacy of Harriet Jacobs, a beacon of hope in a world gripped by darkness. Let's start with some background on why Harriet's story is so important to remember on a day like today, June 19th. The Juneteenth holiday holds a profound place in American history. On June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, delivering news that would forever change the lives of enslaved African Americans. His announcement, known as General Order No. 3, declared the freedom of all enslaved people in Texas, signifying the end of slavery in the state. It's crucial to understand that this momentous event took place more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865, years after Harriet's bid for freedom. Despite the proclamation, it took an extended amount of time for the news to reach the remote corners of the country, and it was not until Granger's arrival in Texas that the final shackles of slavery were broken. Juneteenth, also referred to as Freedom Day or Emancipation Day, serves as a powerful reminder of the struggle for freedom, equality, and the resilience of the African American community. These qualities can be highlighted through a thorough retelling of Harriet Jacobs' struggle for freedom. Over the years, Juneteenth has gained recognition across the United States. For years, many states designated it as a state holiday or observance, and there was a growing movement to establish it as a national holiday. On June 17, 2021, this movement met its goal when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act, commemorating Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Part 1. Roots of Resistance: Harriet's Early Life. Harriet Jacobs was born into slavery in Edenton, North Carolina, in 1813. From a young age, she was exposed to the harsh realities of slavery. As a child, she witnessed the daily struggles faced by enslaved individuals and experienced firsthand the oppressive conditions of plantation life. As a child, she was separated from her parents, who were owned by different masters. Growing up in North Carolina, Jacobs faced numerous hardships. She endured strenuous labor, often performing back-breaking tasks under grueling conditions. The physical demands of plantation work took a toll on her well-being, leaving her exhausted and vulnerable to illness. In addition to the physical hardships, Jacobs also faced emotional and psychological challenges. The constant presence of dehumanization and the lack of personal autonomy were pervasive aspects of her life as an enslaved person. The denial of basic human rights and the constant threat of punishment or separation from loved ones cast a dark shadow over her childhood. During her early life, she pursued education whenever possible, despite the restrictions and limitations placed upon enslaved individuals. While formal education was often denied to enslaved people, Jacobs sought informal opportunities to expand her knowledge and nurture her intellect. It's important to note that the education available to Jacobs was limited and often clandestine due to the oppressive nature of slavery. She primarily acquired literacy skills through the help of kind-hearted white children in her community, who secretly taught her to read and write. These impromptu lessons were conducted in secret, as it was illegal in many states to educate enslaved individuals. Through her determination and the assistance of sympathetic individuals, Jacobs developed a level of literacy that proved invaluable to her later in life. Education became a source of empowerment, enabling her to document her experiences and share her story with the world. While the opportunities for education were scarce and often risky for enslaved individuals like Jacobs, her pursuit of knowledge serves as a testament to her resilience and thirst for personal growth. It was a vital tool that allowed her to challenge the oppressive system of slavery and contribute to the abolitionist movement through her writings. By highlighting Jacobs's pursuit of education in the face of adversity, we gain insight into her tenacity and the transformative power of knowledge. It sets the stage for the remarkable journey she embarked upon and the impact she would later have as an abolitionist. Part 2. Breaking Chains. Harriet's Escape to Freedom. Harriet Jacobs' desire for freedom burned within her, fueled by the oppressive conditions she endured as an enslaved person. She yearned to break free from the chains of slavery and secure a better life for herself and her 2 children. But the path to freedom was treacherous and filled with risks. Her escape from slavery was a courageous and carefully planned endeavor. To liberate herself from the bonds of slavery, Jacobs enlisted the help of a few trusted allies. In her early years, Harriet witnessed the horrors of her enslaved relatives being sold and separated from their families. Determined to escape such a fate, she made a solemn vow to herself to one day break free from the clutches of bondage. When she reached her late teens, Harriet's owner, Margaret Horniblow, died, and she was bequeathed to Horniblow's niece, Maria. Unfortunately, Maria's husband, Dr. James Norcom, developed a sinister infatuation with Harriet and subjected her to years of abuse. Fearing for her safety and longing for liberation, Harriet decided to escape. In 1835, Harriet sought the assistance of a free black man, Samuel Treadwell Sawyer, with whom she had 2 children. With his support, Harriet devised a plan to secure her freedom. She hid in a small attic crawl space located in her grandmother's shed, a space that would later be famously referred to as the loophole of retreat. For 7 long years, Harriet lived in that cramped space, enduring unimaginable hardship and isolation. She relied on the help of her family and close friends, who risked their own safety to provide her with food, water, and essential supplies. The constant threat of discovery and capture loomed over her every day, but Harriet remained steadfast in her determination to break free. In 1842, 7 years later, the opportunity for escape finally presented itself. Harriet obtained a false identification card, and with the assistance of a friendly white sailor, managed to secure passage on a northbound ship named the Fanny. Hidden inside a cramped space below deck, Harriet embarked on her treacherous journey towards freedom. The voyage was not without challenges, as the ship faced storms and perilous conditions. Despite the hardships, Harriet clung to her unwavering resolve to reach the free states. Finally, after weeks at sea, the Fanny arrived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Harriet, now a free woman, set foot on northern soil for the first time. In Philadelphia, Harriet found shelter and support among the city's vibrant abolitionist community. She began to rebuild her life, working as a nursemaid and focusing on the education of her children. Harriet's experiences as a slave and her subsequent escape fueled her passion for the abolitionist cause, and she became an influential voice in the fight against slavery. Part 3. Words of Defiance. The Significance of Harriet's Memoir. Harriet Jacobs's memoir, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, holds a significant place in the history of abolitionism and the fight against slavery. Published in 1861 under the pseudonym Linda Brent, Jacobs's book provided a first-hand account of the brutal realities of slavery and adds to the small but growing body of literature written by enslaved women detailing their experiences. The publication of the memoir was not without its challenges. Jacobs faced significant obstacles in getting her book published. She struggled to find a publisher who would take on her work, as it revealed the intimate details of her life and exposed the cruelties of slavery. Fearing backlash and potential repercussions, publishers were hesitant to associate themselves with such a candid and controversial account. Ultimately, it was the perseverance and determination of Jacobs that led to the publication of her memoir. Despite the challenges, the memoir had a profound impact on the abolitionist movement. The book brought attention to the struggle of enslaved women, highlighting a different experience from other abolitionist books at the time like The Confessions of Nat Turner, 12 Years as a Slave, and Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. Jacob's book contributed to the growing body of literature that exposed the horrors of slavery and served as a powerful tool in rallying support for the abolitionist cause. The memoir explored various themes and conveyed important messages. One prominent theme and incident in the life of a slave girl is the relentless pursuit of freedom. Jacobs vividly describes her desire to escape the clutches of slavery and the lengths she went to secure her and her children's freedom. Through her story, she emphasized the inherent dignity and humanity of enslaved individuals, challenging the dehumanizing institution of slavery. Another theme explored in the memoir is the resilience and strength of enslaved women. Jacobs depicts the experiences of exploitation and abuse that many enslaved women endured, highlighting their courage and perseverance in the face of immense adversity. She sheds light on the complex dynamics of power and resistance within the institution of slavery, showcasing the agency and resourcefulness of enslaved women in navigating their circumstances. Overall, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl was an important work that served as a rallying point within the abolitionist movement. Part 4. Champion of Change, Harriet Jacobs' Activism. Following her escape from slavery, Harriet Jacobs settled in the North, where she found a community of abolitionists who shared her fervor for ending the institution of slavery. She became actively involved in the abolitionist movement, using her own experiences as a slave and her powerful narrative to advocate for the abolition of slavery. Jacobs traveled extensively, delivering speeches and sharing her story with audiences across the country. Her first-hand account of the horrors and injustices endured by enslaved individuals added a deeply personal and emotional perspective to the abolitionist cause. In addition to her work as an abolitionist, Jacobs also became involved in the suffragette movement. She firmly believed in the rights of women and their active participation in society and politics. Jacobs collaborated with prominent suffragettes of her time, such as Susan B. Anthony, to advocate for women's voting rights. She used her platform to highlight the double burden faced by African American women, fighting not only for equal rights as a woman, but also against racial discrimination in a time more than 50 years before Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X. She died over 20 years before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which officially enshrined women's suffrage in the United States Constitution. Harriet Jacobs's activism extended beyond the realms of abolition and suffrage. She recognized the power of education in empowering marginalized communities and worked tirelessly to promote educational opportunities for African Americans. Jacobs established schools for freed slaves and sought to provide them with the tools and knowledge necessary to uplift themselves and their communities. Education was central to her vision of social reform, as she believed that it was the key to breaking the cycle of oppression and achieving true equality. Furthermore, Jacobs was actively engaged in broader social reform efforts of the time. She fought against discriminatory laws and practices, working towards the eradication of segregation and promoting equal rights for all. Harriet Jacobs's post-emancipation life was characterized by her unwavering dedication to fighting for justice and equality. Her activism in the abolitionist and suffragette movements, along with her contributions to education and social reform, left an incredible mark on the progress of civil rights in the United States. By using her voice, her experiences, and her determination, she became a powerful force for change and an inspiration to future generations of activists. Part 5. The Enduring Echo, Harriet Jacobs' Lasting Impact. As we conclude this episode, it is vital to reflect on the lasting impact that Harriet Jacobs had on later civil rights activists, and the significance of celebrating Juneteenth while remembering the stories of individuals like her. Her life, works, and activism inspired generations of civil rights activists, showcasing her courage in escaping slavery and exposing the brutality of the institution through her memoir. Her fight for freedom, family, and the abolition of slavery resonated deeply with other later civil rights leaders, shedding light on the struggles faced by the enslaved. Jacobs's advocacy extended beyond her own liberation as she dedicated herself to securing justice and equality for the newly emancipated, leaving a lasting impact even after slavery's abolition. She touched the lives and assisted everyone who came into her path or read her story, even after her death. The legacy of Harriet Jacobs is an integral part of the rich tapestry of American history. Her courage, resilience, and commitment to justice had an incredible impact on the fight for civil rights. Her story serves as a reminder of the strength and determination of individuals who were once enslaved and their enduring impact on shaping a more just society. This is why we celebrate Juneteenth, a holiday that commemorates the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States. Juneteenth is a time to reflect on the triumphs and struggles of those who fought for freedom and equality throughout history. It is a day to honor the stories of individuals like Harriet Jacobs and celebrate their contributions to history. So as we observe Juneteenth and remember the stories of remarkable individuals like Harriet Jacobs, let us draw inspiration from their resilience and commitment to justice. Let us take a page out of her book and always fight for what is right, no matter the challenges we may find in our path. As always, this has been your host, Chase. Join us next week as we continue to explore the remarkable individuals who shaped our history and inspire us to create a better world. As always, remember, never stop exploring.